We are now live at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in New York City. Thank you guys for joining another edition of the daily live portion of the George Hahn Show. Epstein files, Epstein files, Epstein files. It seems they fucked up with the release of huge swaths that were not redacted that should have been, specifically the identities of some of the girls. I almost said women. They weren't women. They were girls. This is all amateur night. The incompetence and the corruption, or I don't know, pick your order of those two words, the corruption or the incompetence, whichever one is more important, put it up front, is amazing. The corruption and the incompetence is amazing. Whether we're talking about the DOJ, the FBI, ICE, the Department of Homeland Security, the incompetence and the corruption never ceases to amaze. Anyhow, hi, happy Tuesday. It is 26 degrees here in New York City. It is cloudy. We're going to get to a high today of about 31. Which was similar to yesterday, although yesterday we actually had some sunshine. I guess we're supposed to get some sunshine today, although looking out my window here, I'm not seeing it. What did I get up to yesterday? Nothing really. I fell asleep last night. I started a movie. I was going to do a movie and then passed out. I started to watch The Age of Innocence. Was it 1993? Martin Scorsese, Daniel Day-Lewis, Michelle Pfeiffer, Winona Ryder. But I want to get back to it because the Criterion Collection, or the Criterion Channel more specifically, which is kind of my closet favorite streaming service, Criterion. They just added it to their library for the month of February. So that's kind of fantastic. And a bunch of others as well. And by the way, have I shared with you, for you video and film freaks like me, if you are wondering what is streaming where, there is a service, an app. It's called Just Watch. I've been a subscriber for a few years now. And there may be others. This is just the one that I've been using, but it's called Just Watch. And you can get into the App Store or whatever. And there's also a website, I'm sure. And you go and you plug in the services you subscribe to. And then it will tell you what has been just released on that platform. Or you can search. I'll go to Just Watch and I will search Age of Innocence. And it'll tell me that it is streaming on Criterion. I can also rent it on Apple or Amazon or YouTube, and I can also buy it from Apple. Like, it'll tell you all the options for watching it, whether you can stream it in a service you're subscribing to or whether you can buy it on whatever platform. And the app is called Just Watch. Very handy. You're welcome. Anyway, I just did a quick hit on the Don Lemon show. Don is midair, literally, and was unable to get to his live broadcast this morning. So his friend and mine, Katie Fang, took the wheel. I think she's streaming right now. Anyway, the producer reached out to me. He's like, could you do a brother a solid? I'm like, abso-fucking-lutely. So I did about 15, 20 minutes on the Don Lemon show, just jumped off. And such smart, interesting people Don manages to gather. His lemon heads in the Lemon Nation. I love Don and what he does and how he does it. And the discussion, of course, was, what were we talking about? Epstein files. And we were talking about this this fuck up with in Georgia with what's her name? God, why am I escaping her name? She's kind of like a low rent Valentina Allegra de Fontaine from the Marvel universe. Why am I blanking on her name? She's got the white hair streak, like La Contessa Valentina Allegra de La Fontaine from the Marvel comic universe. Anyway, Tulsi Gabbard. That's what I'm trying to think of. No, Tulsi Gabbard. And that fuck up. Anyway, always great to be on Don Lemon's show. I always appreciate it. I'm always grateful that he asks. And I was thinking about something this morning, and I brought it up with the gang just now on Don Lemon's show with respect to our current administration, this presidency, Donald Trump. Donald Trump stands on he is sitting on a stool that stands on 3 legs, 3 pillars. They're the 3 things he's interested in. If you want to know if he's going to make a move on something, will it bring him, okay, ready? Will it enable him, rather, to attain or maintain more wealth, more power, and more glory? That's it. Trump's MO is centered or like it's standing on 3 things. Will it bring him, will he be able to attain or maintain wealth, power, glory? That's it. And if he does something that seems to coincide with an actual right thing to do, then it just overlaps with his pursuit of attaining or maintaining more wealth, more power, and more glory. That's it. It's not. So I'm amused when I see these panels on clips on social media from these panels on cable news. Well, they will gather a table load of talking people to sort of break down any nuances with what's going on with Trump and his decision making. I don't see any nuances whatsoever. I mean, it makes for, more minutes on cable news so they can sell more ads or whatever. But what nuances are we talking about? It is all about for him wealth, power, and glory. That is it. Broad strokes, but he is all broad strokes. There are no finer strokes there. I don't see any. So, cable news shows, knock yourselves out. There's what's her name? Is it Abby Phillips? She's got that show on CNN where she has to sit there and endure Scott Jennings. And he is whatever the fuck that is, other than a boner killer. I don't get it. There is no nuance with Trump and his decision making and his whole MO. Again, I will repeat. Money, power, glory. That's all he cares about. He might care about his children and his grandchildren. Maybe. I really do think that he's got zero moral capacity, like none. There is no morality there. Carson Griffith is in the house, you guys. Hi, darling. I'm so happy you're here. My friend, he cares about self-tanner too. I don't think that's self-tanner, Carson. I think that's all makeup. There might be a little bronzer, a bad tinted bronzer, but there's no self-tanner. There's nothing staining his skin. I think that's all water soluble. Everything he's got going on there. I mean, maybe waterproof because he sweats like a pig in heat. But you guys tune into my friend Carson Griffith. She has got a Substack here in the Substack called Rich People Shit. It is ceaselessly amusing. It's ceaselessly amusing and fun. So subscribe to Carson Griffith. She's really a smart writer. She has contributed to Vanity Fair, the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Airmail. Yeah, and she's one of my pals. So Carson Griffith, there she is right there in the comments. Go check her out here on Substack. She's really, she's a great writer and she's a good storyteller because that's all we're doing here. We're telling stories. It's all about story. And regarding Donnie von Schitzenpants color check, look at somebody took a snapshot of him somewhere. The color on his face, the makeup and the bronzer, the color on his face in contrast with the neck area and his hands. If you look at his hands, that's and minus the stain from the injections and whatever's going on there, that bruising. But that's his real color, that gray, translucent, like skim, like pasty skim milk color. That's his real color. Um, People are asking about the tie. This is from a friend of mine. It's a navy blue tie. It's not a fancy brand. Cape Cod menswear. And these are lobsters on it. Yeah, these are lobsters on my tie. I see people wondering in the comments. Anyway, uh, what else were we talking about? No, I was also talking about Tulsi Gabbard, and I was ready to. Or no, I mentioned that already. Never mind. It's been a long morning. It's been a long morning. And also, before I leave you, because I don't want to stick around too long and take up too much of your time, but um, I made a decision last year, I think. I made a realization, and I don't always nail this, but I made a realization that I am really, as I get older and ease well into my middle age, um, I'm starting to realize, accept, and embrace what I am and am not willing to do, or what I am or am not interested in doing. For example, last year at some point, I realized and then accepted and then embraced the fact that I really don't want to meet anybody outside anywhere for anything social before noon. I really don't. It's not to say that I'm sleeping in till 10 or something. No, I get up at like 7 or 8, whatever. 8 without an alarm, 7 with one. And the morning is news gathering, it's coffee, it's time with the dog. And I'm productive. It's not whatever. I just don't want to have to. If you're going to ask me to come out and meet you before noon, sometimes a Sunday brunch with Carson Griffith and Molly Jong Fast and our crew, sometimes we'll have a reservation for like 11:30, and it's like people I adore, so that's different. But like, don't ask me to do shit before noon. No, just don't. Unless there's a sexy check involved, then yeah, of course. If I got a gig on a show or something like that, I got an early call time, happy to do it because there's money involved. Um, and then the other thing that I realized was, and it's hitting me now in particular, was how I am also not willing. I accepted the fact and embraced the fact and am now okay with the fact that I am not willing to go out socially below 20 degrees. So don't ask me to meet you somewhere to have lunch, dinner when it's below 20. Let's not. Let's reschedule for when it's warmer. Unless you're someone I haven't seen in 10 years and this is the one chance and you're just on a layover in New York on your way to Europe, sure, I will make exceptions. However, I'm just not willing anymore to bundle up and go meet someone when it's below 20 degrees. Fuck that. So no mornings, nothing before noon, and nothing below 20 degrees. That's it. I'm sure as I sort of meander through my day, I will discover other areas where I want to throw down a boundary. But, you know, yeah. Someone here says, Anne says, I love the morning time. I also like to be alone when I drink my coffee. My poor husband, when he tries to talk with me, I give one word answers. And every time I get a comment like that from someone who is married or in a relationship, it makes me glad I'm single. Very few people I talk to are selling the idea of marriage to me, although I'm sure your husband is a great guy. Um, let's see. What are your thoughts on the reports coming out that the rich were killing and eating children? No. No. What? I don't even know why I read that comment. That's ridiculous. Um, I will say this. I will say this with respect to, speaking of my friend Carson and rich people shit. And I might have mentioned, and I apologize if I've mentioned this before, but the Epstein files have further revealed what has always been known, at least on my radar, and that is that there are men, when they get to a certain point in their wealth and their power, where they become entitled in the grossest, most vulgar ways. In minor ways, like in terms of their manner of dress and the way they design and decorate their home and the cars they drive, it gets vulgar and disgusting on that score, and those are low stakes. That's low stakes vulgarity. But the high stakes vulgarity is what we're seeing with the Epstein files. Perfect example. Sexually, their proclivities, their perversions, their interests, what turns them on sexually, fucking disgusting. All right, fucking disgusting. There was a movie, I want to say 20 years ago. Eli Roth directed it. It was called Hostel. It was a series. There was Hostel Part 2. I think they did a Part 3, and was interesting. What it was about these young, Jay Hernandez was in it. I forget who else. These young guys like hiking through Europe, and they're staying in a hostel, and they get uh, drugged by these hot women who are basically paid prostitutes. They become ensnared in this not a hunting game. It's rich guys who want to pay a lot of money. They pay a premium because they've jumped out of airplanes. They've climbed Mount Everest. They've become extraordinarily wealthy. What else is there to conquer? What is their next thrill? And their next thrill is to torture and kill someone. And the movie is it's I would call Hostel gore porn. It's not everyone's cup of tea when it comes to horror. It is a very specific subgenre of horror, and it's gross. But the point is, and I think what Eli Roth's point was that it was a commentary on how far rich dudes looking for their next high, their next thrill, once, the jumping out of the airplane doesn't do it for them anymore. Like, erotic asphyxiation doesn't do it for them anymore. They need something like it's progressive. This thrill seek is progressive. And so what's next? And in the story of Hostel, it's torturing and killing people. And I know there was this one scene in the movie I remember where on the menu, like, Americans were a premium. To get to torture and kill an American was like the most expensive in this torture service. Anyway, I digress. My point in bringing that disgusting story up is that these guys, these Epstein connected, Epstein adjacent freaks, are kind of like that. This is sort of a real life version of that, where when you get this level of wealth, there is a certain, not all men who get rich are like this, but we're learning there are a lot. When you get to a certain level of wealth and power, your entitlement to and your interest in really gross, vulgar, illegal, immoral behavior when it comes to treatment of another human being, in this case, young girls. Disgusting. And Tina Brown, forgive me again if I've said this before, but we're going to hear it again. Tina Brown, magazine editor extraordinaire, legend, said, I think I said this yesterday, actually, these men, when they start accumulating more and more wealth and more success and more power, they get to the point of no return, that they turn a corner of weirdness that is what they can't come back from, and they just, like, the weirdness gets bigger and bolder when they get the private jet. That's when they realize they're better than other people. And I don't mean this like in their head. That's when they start to believe they're better than other people. They don't need to breathe the same air as regular people. The rules don't apply to them. The rules that apply to other people don't apply to them. They get to do whatever they want because they are the elite. It's when they get the private jet. I really do believe that is part of the psychology going on. I'm not, Jim Haleppo here is writing Bill Gates' dichotomy of helping Africa, etc., juxtaposed on this. I think there is also with Bill in the case of Bill Gates, I think it's an attempt at soul cleansing. Well, I did that, but I also did this. So how bad can I be? Like that kind of, I think that's a little bit of soul washing. It's that great movie. It's all about the movies for me. Another good movie that I cite often called Inside Man with Clive Owen and Denzel Washington and Jodie Foster. And Christopher Plummer plays a man who we find out sold out Jews to take their wealth, diamonds, possessions, sold out Jews for the money. And there's a line in the film where he says, "I sold my soul, and I sold my soul when I did this," or something like that. And he said, "I've spent the rest of my life trying to buy it back." And with Bill Gates and the nice work that he does in Africa, whatever, he sold his soul. He probably knows it. And this attempt at charity is an attempt to buy it back. That's what I think's going on there. My half-assed pop psychology, unprofessional, really. Like, don't buy my book on this because it's ill-conceived. Anyway, I think that's what's going on there. So Epstein files, we're learning something that is not new. Men in power, men who achieve a certain amount of wealth and power, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them get even more gross. It's an entitlement. And once they get the private jet, they start to believe that they don't need to breathe the same air as common folk and that they're better than everybody and that the rules that apply to other people do not apply to them. They fly above, you know? So, yeah. Fly commercial. It's disgusting. I don't mean to make light of it at all, but these people are disgusting. And I find it strange, not strange, because women jumped on me when I posted this on social media yesterday. I find it interesting that the only person around this Jeffrey Epstein scandal, the only person behind bars is a woman. And of course, women would have been saying to me on social media, well, duh, of course. But think about that. The only person behind bars with respect to the Epstein situation is a woman. It's fucked up. Anyway, I'm out of here. I got to go take dog out. I have a lunch date, reconnecting with an old friend who I'm trying to get here on Substack. My friend Kevin, he's a travel writer, and I think he would have a really worthwhile point of view, one that I would literally pay money to subscribe to. Kevin should write about travel. And he says to me, what would I write about? I'm like, I will slap you into a bunch of ideas of what you should write about, like negotiating power outlet stuff when you travel to Europe, like, the best way to book a flight, like basic shit. It doesn't have to be like advanced level travel writing, although you could, but do both anyway. So wish me luck on my meeting with my friend Kevin, my lunch meeting with Kevin, because I'm trying to convince him to start a Substack about travel, because he's a pro. He's such a pro. Anyway, love you guys. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching this, and joining me here on this live. And most of all, friends and followers and fans and viewers and listeners of the George Hahn Show, thank you to those of you who are paid subscribers. All of you tuning in it's fantastic, and I love you. But to you paid subscribers, thank you so very much. There are no paywalls around what I'm doing here, but what I might do for the Substack paid subscribers is do a paid subscriber exclusive chat. So I got to work. I haven't, no decisions made. I'm just literally brainstorming and spitballing out loud. So You those of you paying the dollars, I love you so very much for that. Thank you. All right, I'm out, you guys. Let's have a good day, a productive day at least. All right, bye.